Long before Marvel was breaking box office records, before Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, or Tom Holland ever pulled on the mask, there was Nicholas Hammond, the very first actor to bring Peter Parker to life in live action. Hammond was born on May 15, 1950, in Washington, D.C., the son of Colonel Thomas West Hammond Jr., a U.S. Army officer, and Eileen Bennett, an English stage and screen actress who had starred opposite George Formby in the 1942 comedy Much Too Shy. His parents' love story began in London during World War II, when his father was stationed in the UK. After the war, the Hammonds moved to America, but Nicholas' childhood was anything but stable. The army life meant moving from base to base across the country. Despite the constant relocations, one thing stayed consistent: his connection to acting. Inspired by his mother's career, Nicholas stepped onto the stage at just 6 years old. By age 11, he was making his Broadway debut in The Complaisant Lover, acting alongside theatre legends Michael Redgrave and Googie Withers. At the same time, he was filming Lord of the Flies, his first movie role, though it wouldn't hit theatres until 1963. Then came the role that made him a familiar face to millions: Friedrich von Trapp, the eldest boy in the family, in the 1965 blockbuster The Sound of Music. The film's worldwide success turned Hammond into one of the most recognizable young actors of the era. As an adult, Hammond avoided the child star fade-out that so many of his peers suffered. He appeared in films like Conduct Unbecoming and Skyjacked, and became a regular guest star on television, from The Waltons to The Brady Bunch, where he famously played Doug Simpson, the high school heartthrob who ditches Marcia after she gets hit in the face with a football. Then, in 1977, Hammond landed the role that would define his place in pop culture history: Peter Parker in CBS's The Amazing Spider-Man. It was the first time audiences had ever seen the character in live action on American TV. Hammond took the role seriously, insisting Spider-Man should be portrayed as a real, relatable person, not a campy caricature. He later explained, "I like the idea of taking a fantasy hero and making him believable as a person. I made it clear going into it that I wasn't interested in doing something that was just a camp joke." Tobias Vincent Maguire, born June 27, 1975, in Santa Monica, California, is an American actor and film producer who became a household name after slipping into the iconic red and blue suit for Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy. Before landing the role that would define a generation, Maguire built his career with supporting roles in the 1990s, appearing in films like Pleasantville, 1998, The Cider House Rules, 1999, and Wonder Boys, 2000. But in 2002, everything changed when he was cast as Peter Parker. Maguire's portrayal of Spider-Man was groundbreaking for its time. He wasn't the typical muscle-bound superhero. Instead, he brought vulnerability, charm, and a relatable awkwardness to Peter Parker, making audiences believe in the struggles of a shy teenager balancing life, love, and responsibility. His big, expressive eyes and understated acting style made the emotional beats of the story land deeply with viewers. Spider-Man, 2002, smashed box office records, becoming the first film to earn over $100 million in its opening weekend. Critics praised Maguire for delivering a heartfelt and grounded performance, with Mark Caro of the Chicago Tribune noting his sense of wonder and instinct for understatement. The sequel, Spider-Man 2, 2004, is widely regarded as one of the greatest superhero movies ever made. Maguire's Peter Parker faced more personal conflict, including losing his powers due to stress, making the story as much about human struggle as superhero action. The emotional weight and relatable storytelling helped cement the film's legacy. Then came Spider-Man 3, 2007, which was a box office hit but received mixed reviews due to its crowded plot and infamous emo Peter Parker scenes. Despite the criticism, Maguire's commitment to the role remained strong, and the trilogy as a whole became a pop culture phenomenon. A planned Spider-Man 4 was in development, with Maguire set to return, but due to creative disagreements and production issues, Sony decided to cancel the film in 2010 and reboot the franchise with a new actor. For years, fans believed Maguire's Spider-Man story was over, until 2021, when Marvel pulled off one of the biggest surprises in cinematic history. Maguire reprised his role in Spider-Man: No Way Home, appearing alongside Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland. The nostalgia was overwhelming, and audiences cheered seeing him once again don the suit, older and wiser, acting as a mentor figure to the younger Spider-Men. Andrew Russell Garfield was born on August 20, 1983, in Los Angeles, California, but his story didn't stay in Hollywood for long. When he was just 3 years old, his family moved to Epsom, Surrey, England, where he grew up. His heritage is as fascinating as his acting career. On his father's side, Garfield is Jewish, with deep family roots tracing back to Poland, Russia, and Romania. In fact, in 2025, he discovered that a great-great-aunt was connected to famed pianist Władysław Szpilman, whose story was told in the Oscar-winning film The Pianist. Growing up, Garfield wasn't dreaming of movie stardom. He was a gymnast, a swimmer, and at one point thought he'd go into business. That all changed at age 16, when a friend convinced him to take a theater class just so the school could run it. That one decision set him on the path to the stage and eventually the big screen. After studying at the Central School of Speech and Drama in London, he worked his way up through television and indie films, even working at Starbucks to make ends meet. Then, in 2010, came the call that would change everything. Andrew Garfield was cast as the new Peter Parker in The Amazing Spider-Man, 2012, a complete reboot of the franchise. Garfield took the role incredibly seriously, studying the movements of both athletes and actual spiders, practicing yoga and Pilates to perfect the agility of the character. He wanted to bring a Peter Parker who was authentic, messy, and deeply human. In interviews, Garfield said Spider-Man was a hero he'd loved since childhood, someone who made him feel less alone. He infused that personal connection into his performance, portraying Peter as witty, nervous, and full of heart. Audiences responded warmly, and critics like The Guardian's Peter Bradshaw even called him the definitive Spider-Man. The Amazing Spider-Man was a box office hit, earning over $752 million worldwide, and Garfield's chemistry with Emma Stone's Gwen Stacy became one of the most beloved elements of the series, especially after they began dating in real life. In The Amazing Spider-Man 2, 2014, Garfield's Peter faced higher stakes, bigger battles, and one of the most emotional moments in superhero film history, Gwen Stacy's tragic death. Garfield's raw performance in that scene broke hearts worldwide, and many fans still argue it's one of the most powerful moments in any Spider-Man movie. In 2021, Garfield pulled off one of the greatest surprises in modern cinema. In Spider-Man: No Way Home, he returned to the role, joining Tobey Maguire and Tom Holland on screen in a multiverse crossover fans had only dreamed of. His appearance allowed his Peter Parker to find redemption, catching MJ in a moment that mirrored Gwen's fall, giving closure to both the character and the audience. Thomas Stanley Holland was born on June 1, 1996, in Kingston upon Thames, London. His mum was a photographer, his dad was a comedian and author, so creativity was basically in his DNA. He grew up with 3 younger brothers, and fun fact, his grandparents' roots trace back to Ireland and the Isle of Man. When Tom was 7, he was diagnosed with dyslexia, so his parents put him and his brothers in private school, which, as he admits, was a big financial stretch for the family. But this investment gave him the support he needed to thrive. Fast forward to June 2015, Marvel was looking for a new Spider-Man. Tom was a lifelong fan who literally owned 30 Spider-Man costumes as a kid, so this was the dream. He beat out 1,500 other hopefuls, including Asa Butterfield and Charlie Rowe, thanks to his natural acting chops and that gymnastics background. Stan Lee himself said, Tom was the exact age and height he had imagined for Peter Parker. His MCU debut in Captain America: Civil War, 2016, was electric. Fans loved his playful energy, awkward humor, and authentic teen vibe. The film went on to make $1.1 billion worldwide. In 2017, Tom headlined Spider-Man: Homecoming. At just 21, he became the youngest actor to lead an MCU movie, earning a Guinness World Record. Wanting to bring his own twist to the role, Tom studied Maguire and Garfield's performances but made Peter more relatable, a high schooler still figuring things out. To prepare, he actually went undercover at the Bronx High School of Science. Students didn't believe he was Spider-Man, which perfectly mirrored Peter's double life in the film. Homecoming grossed over $800 million and cemented Tom as Marvel's friendly neighborhood wall crawler. Born May 4, 1995, in Atlanta, Georgia, Shameik Moore grew up in a Jamaican household where creativity and music were a big part of his life. He attended Druid Hills High School, and early on, he dabbled in music and dance while also showing interest in acting. His career began with small appearances in TV shows like Tyler Perry's House of Pain, Read Between the Lines, and the musical comedy film Joyful Noise. His first big break came in 2013 when he landed a starring role on the Cartoon Network sketch comedy series Incredible Crew. Although the show only lasted 1 season, it gave Moore a platform to showcase his comedic timing and energy. Then came the role that would make him a household name, Miles Morales in Spider-Man: Into the Spider-Verse, 2018. The film was a massive critical and commercial success, praised for its groundbreaking animation and heartfelt story. Moore's voice brought warmth, humor, and relatability to Miles, helping cement the character as a fan favorite. His portrayal was so beloved that he returned for the sequel, Spider-Man: Across the Spider-Verse, 2023, and will reprise the role in the upcoming Spider-Man: Beyond the Spider-Verse.